It does remind me of a lower low though.
Okay, so that is our setup for today. It being the 85th session of the storyline, and with the characters having reached level 8.
Yay! Woohoo!
Though there's also the thing that they're going to have an interesting time of it. So, last we had our characters. You had decided to go on a sidetrack, and decided to ignore the multiple side tracks you are on to then start a Mission Impossible thieving expose through the local Duke's castle. It all went badly, and then you ended up getting time rewind. At which point you were reminded what you were setting out to do, which was to investigate the cult of the Northern Reaches. So you decided this time we'll go off and investigate, as things are happening differently. And last we had it, you had decided to spend time with the Windvane Knights, I believe they were.
I've got Feathergale Spire.
Feathergale Knights.
Yeah.
Remembering the actual names off the top of my head is not always great. So Feathergale Knights, and I'll have you introduce yourself and your characters so we can find out exactly what sort of trouble they've gotten themselves into.
Will the trouble be said immediately after our introduction or later?
Could even be during.
Something to look forward to.
So
wait a minute, I can't be surprised. So, you know, heads up now would be good.
You did get your heads up. It might be during.
Fair enough.
With that, Arietta, you're up.
I am Thala, a tree speaker, elf of the season Fae, and that makes me a druid. I have the fortune to be friends with the much better known Calcrix, the White Dragon with the Jazz Wings, as well as being an honoured member of this group as we restart our latest quest to find out about the Griffin Knights of Ethengar Spire.
And then we have Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I play Chevelle, the Paladin.
I feel like we should get a counting so we could all do that together.
Yeah, probably. It's going to get longer and longer the more levels I have in Paladin.
Yeah, as it should though.
So Chevelle is a Fire Genasi Paladin. Pepper can get the better of her at times, but she believes that she's doing all as well in the honor of Tubak. It's being used as a marshmallow roaster.
Sorry, that's all is well in the world of Tubak?
Tubak the Lawgiver.
Oh, okay, that's your god?
Yep.
Yes. What was the marshmallow thing?
He likes to roast his mush.
No, I do not. No.
Well,
I said he, so I was referring to either Chauvel or Yodri.
Okay.
You mean Zal or Yodri?
Yeah,
No, sorry, Zal or Yodri, yeah.
Yep.
I will provide my warmth to others, but I will not be used as a
smorgasbord.
So, Zal, I'm reading this as if we want to roast our marshmallows, we wait until Chevelle is facing away from us, and everyone behind her roasts their marshmallows while someone in front of her tells an animated story to amuse her. We still get roasted marshmallows, nobody's armed here.
And that brings us to Zal, M's character.
Hello, I play Zal, your ever-lovable pirate wizard.
Fire Ranger.
Ever lovable. I love it.
Oh, hey,
I actually used the punchline of today.
Yeah, I actually did work on today.
and you haven't died for a long time, as far as you know.
I'm right. That's actually amazing.
I was gonna say, is this something you are seeking to remedy?
Yeah. It's why I wear armor.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I don't look like a cleric.
It's
Sure.
why you hit things from a distance.
Now that would be much more funny if she was a ranger, because then she'd hit things from a range.
Yes.
Well, she didn't learn that.
She did. That's why. That's why she's now a cleric.
That's why the cleric's still alive.
I'm quite lucky that my god still let me use bows. I just can't take any
Levels of ranger.
beings of ranger. Which is sad.
You gave up your ranginess.
I do give up my ranges.
Failed ranger.
But successful cleric.
So far, sort of.
And as a necromancer, you still got to raise some questions.
Well, I'm still technically researching that side of it. Because I was out of the loop for a long time.
So does that mean when the next party member dies, you're going to say, "I've got this," and suddenly you've got a skeletal pet?
Well, depends what the book wants. If the book wants them to turn into a Google or whatever, or actually revive them, that's up to the book.
Mills powerful bills.
Well, hey, if you turn him into a zombie, you can then march them back to somewhere else to heal them.
And if it's all, should be a fellow cleric. Eventually you'll find a class level.
There are worse things you can be, I'm sure.
Come on, we're online. No cyberbullying, guys. Come on.
What,
Yeah.
cyberbullying? That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm the antagonist in this.
Not while we're roasting you behind your back.
Yeah. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, your characters have spent a couple of months with the Ethengar Knights, learning about being a mounted warrior in the air.
So we are Griffin Riders.
I would not be surprised if
Cheval will stay on the ground, thanks.
Really?
No,
You don't want to learn how to ride?
I would be surprised if I adopted a bloody, baby griffin.
No.
What, you think your chocobo and your horse are going to allow that?
I don't know.
She never asks.
I'm pretty sure that were you try to adopt another pet animal,
You struggle enough to deal with two.
Artemis and Chocobo would conspire. They would get together.
No. Look, baby brother.
You have trouble enough with two.
Didn't you try this when you tried to get them to get along and they still try to kill each other?
Most likely less. Now? Sort of.
Well, hey, a flying mount instead of a land-based mount gives her options.
Yeah, it gives them also better chances of surviving, but...
Look, baby griffin. Or, actually, option B. Look, Axebeak food.
Axebeak can fly then. You'd be happy. You'd be on board. It'd be hard to problem.
For the 0.5
Technically,
seconds
I don't
of the
have
Axebeak
to
eating the baby griffin.
I could just be the griffin. Right?
Possible.
Sorry, I missed what Aaron has said.
She was thinking that she could turn into your griffin for you.
I don't have to learn to fly, I can be the griffin. You know how they're like, don't be the feather on the, don't be a feather on, be the feather on the wind, and, as light as a feather type deal. I can be the griffin.
Be the paladin.
Is this a true soon reference?
It all comes out in the wash.
In its own awkward way.
I've got it.
What are the Feather Knights? The Knights of
Feathergale.
Feathergale Spire.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to
I
take
think it's
notes.
prizes I adopted one. Like, that's up to them.
I don't know if they'd let you. Maybe I don't know if there's enough that you can adopt one, but maybe.
I have no problems if MM ends up with a griffin.
You have to take care of it though. You've got to remember to feed it. Take it for flying. Make sure it gets enough exercise.
Your GM dice roll is on its side, looking at something different.
Oh,
It's looking
yeah.
at the side of its dice tray.
There we go.
Yeah, it's not looking at the dice tray. Is that an indication we won't see combat today?
Probably.
Well, there's the dice tray.
Hey!
Unless you guys mentioned it, we probably might not have. So, you know, if we die today, it's your fault for observing that the dice
I
camera
wouldn't
was
be surprised if you made it
outside.
well for like just general conversation.
Do you stuff up saying hello?
Well, it can be. How much do you put your foot in it?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes. He dropped his dice.
We don't know where it went, but I rolled a 13.
It's okay.
That's on the floor, it doesn't count.
The last game earlier in the week ended up with 3.5 dice in the dice jail. It's down to 2 now. So, you know, could be worse.
They were warned that there was combat happening.
I think we did okay, but I can't remember Tuesday's game. I can't remember it at all. I just know I was there.
Okay, so what you have learnt from the Feathergale Knights are that they are people who combined air mastery and combat.
Did we too learn how to combine air mastery and combat?
Those of you who learn to ride a griffin do. Unfortunately, those fire earthbound people don't quite pick up that much.
I'm definitely
Yeah, no.
on board.
What, you mean the scholar? Actually scholar? Oh, man. I should learn things.
And does one of you seek to be the champion of the Feathergale Knights?
Well, if I'm gonna end up with another bird, probably with me.
What's required?
Well, a desire to be the champion.
Well, you see, it would be less that I don't desire to be a champion at this stage, but more that I would want to ensure that I was able to fulfill the commitment before offering to make it. And being an adventurer of sorts, if being a champion of the Spire required me to remain here, this I could not do. Thus I could not make the commitment, no matter how deep my desire. So I ask again, what is required?
Well, for them it would be the ability to lead other knights.
Does it...
Does not require you staying in one place.
Okay. So, do they have other champions at this stage?
They do have a couple, but they're expecting that if you end up being a champion of them, they will send a contingent with you at some stage.
I feel like this would be a good thing to do, and not something limited to just one of the party. Therefore...
But there are 4 different elemental cults, and it's not easy to be a champion of more than one.
I presume it's not going to be easy to be a champion to begin with. But considering it seems like there's room for more than one, I too will put my hand up, knowing that I'm not going to be robbing Zal of a spot.
You know, if you do become a champion of this one, you can't be a champion of one of the other factions.
Fair enough.
Because I don't think I've become a champion of the other ones. Though, in saying that, I don't know if I'm a champion per se, but when we were in that underground one, I got that star thing that was like tattooed on the back of my head.
You did choose to become a champion of those people?
Oh, did I? So does that mean I can't become the champion of these people?
Well, you sort of walked away from them without finding out any more about them, so you're not quite sure.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of a mess, that one.
It was.
Did we have pilfering back then?
I don't believe you had pilfering back then.
I'm trying to go back to...
No, I don't think we did. We were preferring Apocalyse.
Do you guys know there's a bygone puppet in the Tuesday game?
Puppet.
Yeah. Yeah, Calcrix has got, you know how she got a little plant from the avatar of the Queen of Darkness?
Oh, yeah.
That
The
plant
little
has a bygone
snake
puppet.
plants.
The little plant has a puppet, and the puppet's always going, bygone!
That's awesome.
Which is why I'm looking back to see if I can find the name.
And so the puppet was made by Loki, so it always raises the left instead of the right hand.
It also occasionally says, like, you're expecting it to go by Gorm, and then it goes, death to the infidels! And everybody in the party just pauses for a second and is like, should we be worried at this point?
And then he did a deep voice to one of the players saying, "You shall die."
Yeah, when the other player talked about throwing the puppet into the fire.
Now,
So-
I'm presuming the references, apart from by Mongol, is a reference to what's that puppet's name? You like him better than I do.
The Gormites.
Yes, puppet.
It's annoying me I don't know what his name.
Amusingly, they would have supported.
Jeff Dunham.
Did.
Jeff Dunham.
Well, that reminds me. I need to see if there's still tickets available for. Now I've forgotten my favorite puppet.
David Straussman.
David Straussman.
Yeah.
We've seen him a couple of times. He's always fun.
I've got one of the very, very first teddy bears.
I know.
So, he is...
I have a few.
Yeah.
They're old. As in, old and newer. Not first generation. Older generation. English is bad.
Okay, so one thing they do state is if you do become their champion, they can actually change your elemental affiliation to air and darkness.
Oh. Interesting. Wasn't I earth?
Nope, you're fire.
No, but I'm currently fire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
You end up with 2 affiliations.
Sorry, I have this massive rash on my ankles at the moment. I'm either allergic to something at work, or I'm allergic to the itchy bombs that are in the city. Probably more likely the itchy bombs. Because they're everywhere.
I haven't been in the city for a long time, so luckily I have missed that.
No, they're everywhere at the moment. And I came back from getting coffee yesterday, and my left ankle started itching like crazy. And then like an hour after that, my right ankle started like itching, and now I've got a huge rash on both my ankles.
Medarua is who you ended up becoming the champion of. The warrior women.
The warrior women.
I didn't think it was a warrior word.
It was Sue's previous character who,
Oh,
Did that.
okay. So that wasn't.
because the warrior women didn't really accept men,
Oh,
and the
okay.
Gormites didn't really accept women.
So
That's right.
was it
Oh,
the
wait,
Zargonites then?
Who died?
What was that?
Was it the Zargonites then?
No, it was the Usamagarans.
Oh, so it was the Usamagarans. Shit, I've just spent 5 minutes looking for something I spotted first off.
I was gonna
So-
say, I'm pretty sure I wrote it down.
The star symbol was the Usamagarans.
Yep,
Yes.
I do remember that.
yep.
But we didn't find out much more than the really basic stuff.
You also found out that they had some tests, and around the time you found out about the tests, you left before you found out what the tests were meant to teach you. Mainly because you got completely smacked down by a avatar of a god who you attacked.
Yeah, we couldn't complete the tests anyway. And our job, as always, has been to find out more about the cults rather than becoming champions. So, you were explaining about what is required and what a champion needs to do.
So if you become a champion of one of these cults, they will happily send some of their followers to wherever you set up your home base. So you can end up creating your own little fiefdom somewhere.
Is Drazzle along with us? I look at Drazzle and I'm like, what do you think about some of us becoming champions? Do you think it would be helpful to the futures of people in general for there to be a few extra bases set up with some Griffin Riders? Or do you think perhaps maybe we just do the research into this culture and report back to Redring?
He says extra help might not go badly.
Thala will then turn back to them and go, please sign me up.
Okay, so
Not needing to learn this lesson twice.
So, what are the different factions, Mark?
you have the Feathergale Knights, the Riverguard Keep monks, the Sacred Stone monks, and the Scarlet Moon monks.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like different factions in the like Griffin Rider thingy.
No, the Griffin Riders are one of the. They represent one of the 4 factions that are actually part of the same organization.
So what was the last one?
The Scarlet Moon monks.
Scarlet Moon. It's really quite the most memorable, but the one that just dropped off my list.
And M's already stolen from the Sacred Stone people, so.
Maybe you want to become a champion of... I don't know. If you become a champion of people you've stolen from, technically you haven't stolen from them, maybe?
Well,
She then went and murdered their head priest.
Yeah, no, maybe not.
I don't know if they exist anymore. I've never gone back.
Is Sacred
Well, I
Stone
mean, the
before
party
my
to
time?
go back. We could.
So Sacred Stone would have been about episode 2 or 3.
Okay, so
Yeah.
as
It
the
was
GM, you
really
gotta give me
early
a
on.
short rundown if you remember.
They were exploring a underground temple underneath one of the first towns they went to outside of Ethengar.
Okay.
And
And the first thing that
They-
our
they-
ranger did was kill...
so this was after they killed M's uncle, the necromancer.
Okay, alright.
And they then went down and they found what appeared to be an altar with some things in front of it. So M decided that Zal would steal from that altar because there was a nice shiny dagger there.
It's a shiny dagger, I can't falter at this point.
Zal was young and dumb back then.
And then the priest showed up and said, "Hey, thief!" So Zal then proceeded to murder said accuser.
that might have been a bit over the top, but I can see how things
What
can
do you
get out of
think?
hand.
Young and dumb.
Yeah, but as I said, I can see how things get out of hand.
And that's the abridged version of how all that happened?
That's why you have the legal appellation of manslaughter.
Whoops, I stabbed them multiple times.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oops, I threw arrows everywhere.
Oops, I stabbed him again.
And it was with this dagger that they later died.
You got killed by your own dagger?
They jumped over a river to stab a fish flopping on the bank of the river because it was funny.
Oh, okay, this is where the failed bit comes in.
And
okay.
then the roper that was sitting right next to the fish making it flop.
No need to embarrass her further.
Then ate her.
Him, sorry.
Him.
Yeah.
Does that about cover it there, Al? Did you forget it was the same dagger that you stole that you ended up dying by using?
I think it was one of my normal daggers, but I honestly don't remember.
You started prioritizing the magical dagger because, magical damage?
True. That is true.
So what we know of these 4 groups, we've just learnt about the Ethengar people.
You visited the River Guard Keep before.
Yep.
But you can actually learn to gain them as part of your following,
Okay.
which will then give each of you access to resources later on because you're being told that a great war is coming.
So would it be helpful if we can't become champions of them all?
Actually, you can, but each person can become a champion of a different one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Should perhaps Zal be looking to become champion of this one, and perhaps maybe someone who hasn't stolen or murdered any priests tries to become the champion of the Sacred Stone instead.
If they exist.
Although I'm more a Scarlet Moon person myself.
Thala was
Look at
not
the
there at
others.
the time.
Pardon?
Thala was not there at the time, so she's the one most likely to be able to woo the Earth people.
Yeah, so that's why I think perhaps, although I'm willing to be a champion, if the idea is that we each become champion of a different faction in order to gain that faction support in what seems to be a war that is going to come and reign again and on all of us, it might be best for the cleric to learn to fly a griffin and champion the flying peoples.
So is Zal happy to become a Feathergale Knight?
I am happy to.
And we could find out whether or not Cheval would be willing to become a champion of one of the other groups we need the support of.
Okay, so on top of being a champion, you've also been given something to help you in your quest.
So I guess this is a part of gathering resources for a war that's coming.
It is. So, Zal is presented with a spear called Windvane.
Called what?
Windvane. Yeah, Windvane.
Ooh, interesting.
It's a spear made out of pure silver.
Ooh. I haven't used these before.
Does she have to do anything to qualify that? Is there a test of some sort?
I am assuming it was time. She spent time, learnt their ways, and basically will end up with some bonuses against air magic.
Oh, you fast tracking this?
Some of it is.
Okay, alright. No, I didn't realise you might be fast tracking, and I should have.
All good. So yes, so you have something called Windvane, which is a legendary spear. It gives you +2 bonus to attack and damage, and attuning to it also increases your weapon mastery with spears by 2 levels.
Oh wow. Considering I have no weapon mastery to spears.
Well, hey, at least you've gone from non-proficient to skilled by just picking it up and attuning.
I don't do I have any attunement slots left.
You should have about 4. Doesn't mean you can't swap things in and out.
I need to remember what I'm going to tune. I know I've got my dad. I know I've got my arrow. I've got my circlet. Maybe there's a spell slot? I'm just trying to think. Because that's gold. The golden arrow. The circlet that's given like
I remember the circlet sets your intelligence, so you cannot increase or decrease your intelligence without damaging the circlet.
Yes.
So the circlet means that if it ever does unattune, you're back to whatever you were previously.
Which I think was like either 12 or 14. So it was either +1 or +2. And it probably got down.
Okay, so yes, you find yourself with this really nice polished one. You have a griffin mount with barding.
With what?
With full barding.
What does that mean?
Barding for a mount is armor. So
yep.
it means that it should be protected. It's called barding, yes.
Oh, okay. When you first said it, I'm like, what, so she can sing now? But what you're talking about is armor for griffins.
Yep, armor for a mount.
Yep. Or more specifically, a mount.
And you also have 6 griffin riders at your beck and call. As you're now one of their champions.
Oh. Is it like a spell, or is it like an incantation?
There is no incantation to bring them. You basically just tell them what you want them to do and they'll go off and do it and hopefully survive.
Wow. Wow.
They're actual people.
Nice. Actually, I have a good idea of what to do with that.
Then that has us moving over to I will do Josh right now while Ariadne's eating.
Hey.
So Josh, I'm assuming you wanted to be someone who incorporates fire as your main connection.
Indeed, that is correct.
Okay, so that does mean that you'll be joining the Scarlet Moon people.
Yay,
Pick
Scarlet
one.
Moon.
So what you learn by spending time, which all of you learn spending time with the Scarlet Moon, is that while they specialize in fire magic, they are also very nature oriented. So a large majority of the Scarlet Moon are druids. So is Chauvel happy to accept fire and darkness aspected?
I mean, Chauvel's never been against damaging nature. She's just been doing what is being good to her god. So, sure.
I mean, having dark attunement doesn't mean that you're...
Does not mean that you're evil, it just means that you have access to other abilities.
I'll put it this way, the most adorable of adorable coffee-addicted dragons has been dark aspected for a little while now.
Well,
if she's going to be dark aspected, it's safe.
Like, last session, in a level, what she did. So Zal kind of knew... He's still persistent spirit. He was just in this together.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, Chauvel ends up being their champion quite easily because, hey, a paladin is nothing to basically try to go up against.
Nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. And you end up with a dagger made out of flint.
Flint dagger.
Yep, called Tinder Strike.
Ooh.
This is also a +2 dagger. And it, if you're attuned to it, you will also gain 2 levels of proficiency. With the dagger.
Huh.
And the
I
dagger,
have
did you say
many
was?
attunements. I'll double check.
What was it?
What kind of dagger?
Well, I've got one.
A flint,
I've got one.
as in stone.
Yep.
I know, I had a lot. I think I might have dropped one to get the circlet. But I think we've gained another one in the last couple of levels that I've never had it tuned to. So I probably
Are
have
they
some.
pictures of the daggers and the spears and things?
And so, with that, Chauvel receives about a dozen druids happy to help with whatever Chauvel is interested in doing.
Oh, cool.
Did you say half a dozen druids?
A dozen.
Ooh.
12.
You get more druids than the cleric gets knights.
But the cleric also gets a knight and a griffin. So technically the same number of people, if you count mounts.
I think the mounts would be like pretty good.
Yeah. Of course, I'm only teasing.
So yes, you now have a few extra things at your disposal.
That's
And Thala, with her getting access to
I want a trident and an axe.
the Sacred Stone Monastery.
If we go there, Mark,
You had not been there before, so you go there with the help of the Feathergale Knights.
oh, so this isn't the same as where I got that dagger from.
It was not.
Okay.
Where you got the dagger from was just an outpost.
But they're related?
They are related. They were run by the same people.
What do we know of the people of the Sacred Stone?
I wouldn't mind if I get the opportunity.
Steal another dagger?
No.
Sorry.
No.
yes.
Give that one back
Yeah.
and apologize and actually make amends.
No.
No.
Too late.
No. Wait.
Who is my father?
I think that's a really good opportunity to roleplay, and I think that if you're able to do it, you should.
I
think that'd be
love the
fantastic.
opportunity for that. Because it has been on Zal's mind for a long time.
Yeah.
Like after he died, and a few years after that, and with all the other shit happening.
It could have been a lot worse things that could have happened.
Could have, yes. But, and he always gets reminded of it thanks to somebody in the party.
Somebody
And-
paladin!
I'm getting thumbs up in my face.
I hope that wasn't too loud for the
But
mic.
it is something that Zal regrets doing in his life. And if he has the opportunity to make amends for that, then in his older, wiser self.
Okay, so as part of Zal's penance, he serves guard duty for the Stone Monastery for a year.
Okay.
Seems fitting. Like, if you're gonna make amends,
I'll get my new Griffin Knight friends to help with that. Even though it's not good.
that's right. You could even offer to do guard duty in flight.
Exactly.
And, really, is that work or play?
Oh no. That's a good question.
Let's not even ask the question, just in case someone thinks you're having too much fun doing it.
Okay, so you end up spending a fair amount of time with the stone monastery, the
Because
sacred stone monastery.
because we do also need to do that fourth, is it possible to leave Zal for just a little bit of that time and go over to the river guard at the same?
Oh,
There is.
I'm happy to be left.
Yeah, I
But
mean
it's
like
no
a temporary
like,
short
This is my
leave.
thing to do.
Yeah.
And our druid is given the weapon Iron Fang.
Is this what did we learn from the Sacred Stone people?
That their
Did we skip that?
their beliefs are in balance with the earth.
Yep.
But the earth itself is strong and will fight back against those that threaten them.
Mm-hmm.
And their beliefs are they're an extension of that retaliation of those who abuse the earth itself.
Man, I've got to try and write fast. As will. Are they a clan? Or
They
a
are a
people?
monastery.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And then
So their belief is of the Black Earth,
of the Black Earth.
whereas the each of the others have a belief structure built around their various
So what was our
groups.
Scarlet Moon?
So the Scarlet Moon, a belief of the eternal flame.
And
The Feathergale Knights is the belief of the howling hatred.
of course. And you said there was an Iron Fang?
Yeah, Iron Fang, a war pick.
Sorry, I was in the middle of writing Howling Hatred and then tried to write Fang at the same time.
Iron Fang, yes.
Iron Fang, War Pick. Yep. Sounds suitable for its job.
It seems to be made out of a single piece of cold iron. Meaning it affects creatures that have issues with cold iron.
Hopefully that's not elves.
Mainly Fae, which is not the
But I'm
elven
a
Fae.
seasoned Fae. Am I even
I
able
mean,
to hold this?
As in the Pixie,
Oh, okay.
Dryad,
Alright.
the actual creature type Fae, not creature type humanoid.
Okay, yeah, alright. That's all good. And Zal spent a year making amends.
With the
Sacred
the
Stone.
Sacred Stone Monastery.
During which time we spent some time with
The River Guard keep and find out that they follow the crushing wave.
which we found out about,
Some of it previously.
yeah, where Drazzle picked up something from their temple. It's called the
And-
Crushing Wave, wasn't it?
Thala ends up with 10 monk followers.
Oh, I forgot about that. Everyone else got followers. So, Thala. I'm like, yeah, I'm good to be champion. I don't need followers. Monk followers, okay. Are they trained in any particular?
They are trained in the sacred stone style.
Okay, right. So they are of the sacred stone. They use pebbles to hit people in the temple and knock them out.
And as Drazel's the only one at this stage with you, as I'm not sure when the others will be available, he ends up being the champion for the Crushing Wave people. Riverguard Keep.
Yeah,
That's
Riverguard
fitting,
Keep.
because he was already on pretty friendly terms with him.
Yeah, he was.
And they give him a trident.
Because I was thinking maybe we could have NPC'd maybe Yodri or Imian, but Drazel works pretty good in terms of filling in that spot for tonight's purposes. I didn't know whether or not, because if the players aren't here, we can't ask them if they want to take that on.
And he ends up with four monks and 4 clerics, which he doesn't seem to know what to do
So
with.
we've got quite the entourage now. We're surrounded by griffin riders, monks, druids, clerics.
And you understand that the 4 different organizations here had left the Empire of Alphatia due to the urgings of someone known as the Dark Lady,
Oh, yeah, I know who that is.
who wanted them to not be part of the strike force of the Alphatian Empire, because the elemental cults, as you see them, were the shock troopers of the Alphatian people.
Which people were the shock troopers?
The cults, each of these 4 different organizations.
Oh, they used to be the shock troopers. And that's where we got the story back from the knights, the Griffin Knights, about being literally thrown away in terms of their lives unvalued, that used to make ground in starting war.
Yes, that they were basically cannon fodder sent in to wipe out the opposition.
So they're freeing themselves from the oppression.
And unless they were clerics or wizards, they weren't seen as worthwhile. So sorcerers, warlocks, druids were all ignored as important people in the society.
So they're just seen as like weapons, I guess. Yeah.
They were literally the weapons they disposed of in combat. And as such, the Dark Lady got them to leave the Alphatian Empire. And you find out that she is a shadow dragon.
That's why they get along so well, her and Calcrix.
A servant of the Queen of Darkness and the elemental dragon of Shadow. There are not many of them around.
I don't know, Calcrix might be becoming one. She's half black now. She only started off with a few scales.
Well, they start
Is
off.
she going to become then? The shadow
Well, they start off
dragon?
as chromatic, and then they can evolve to metallic, and then they can evolve to gemstone,
Oh,
and then they can
gemstone,
evolve
really?
to elemental, and then they can evolve to planet. So there are 5 known evolutions of dragons, and there aren't many of the elemental dragons around the world.
You mean I'm going to go from being a white dragon to a black dragon? I
Right.
don't have a problem with this.
Right, possibly.
Wrong game. Sorry, back on subject.
So yes. So you've gotten this information. You found out she's based in the Northern Reaches as well.
The Shadow Dragon?
Yes, known as the Dark Lady.
The Dark Lady? Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
probably not the wrong. What was the name of my spear again?
Your spear is named Windbane. Windbane. So if you look it up online, you'll find completely different stats to what I'm giving you.
Okay.
Did you want to show her from the book?
They do have a picture of it.
Really big shiny.
So
Shiny.
it's the big pointy one.
And it's
Yeah.
silver, so extra shiny.
And it has, so it is silver, but it also has sapphires in various parts along it.
See, you've got all those extra people to polish that thing up. Wax on, wax off. Just tell them you're training them and making your spear very, very shiny in the process.
So if I tune, I'm then expert.
So if you,
Attune. She said if she attunes, is she now expert?
are you already proficient with spears?
I don't know.
Let me have a quick look on proficiencies. Okay.
I'm not proficient in simple weapons.
And proficient in all weapons.
Oh, you're a paladin, of course you are.
Yes.
Even your hands are weapons. Just looking at you is a weapon. You get knocked out just from looking you straight in the face.
Yeah.
So,
So it depends
as a
on-
cleric, simple weapons, yes, you are proficient with simple weapons. As it's a simple weapon, you are expert with it automatically.
Nice.
Wait. And it's a +2 speed.
It's a +2 spear.
Right. I'm guessing you'll send me the stats.
I will.
Cool.
I'll hopefully have them all up online for people before next session.
Oh yeah. So technically, I think I did have all attunement spots taken, because I was actually attuned to that dagger. But now that I've given it back and done my penance,
Exactly.
I am now attuned to the spear.
And you've done exactly what they stand for. You've achieved balance.
And so what you've also found out is that because they're the shock troops of the Alphatian military, there's no chance the Alphatian military will come near the northern reaches. You don't really want to send in your regular troops to face your shock troops. Generally doesn't go too well when these people are used to taking out any sort of threat, even if they die while doing so. And then you send in your regular army, which are used to maintaining the peace after these guys have gone through.
Because these guys are basically not abandoned, but defected. Is that right?
They are very much defected special forces.
Nice.
So basically, the Dark Lady, the Shadow Dragon, who is affiliated with the Queen of Darkness, has gone over to them while they were still fighting for Alphatia, and they were the shock troops of Alphatia, and she basically said, you are being used, you're not valued, leave this land, come to this land, and here you'll be valued and you will be treated better. And so they've left Alphatia to come here, these four different groups, and these four groups are the four different special forces Alphatia used to use and now no longer have. And so by them now being over the border, they protect us from Alphatia, because Alphatia know just how badass they are. They trained them.
And they left at the time that the Goddess of Peace started chanting war.
Did we learn something about that last?
You did learn that in the other group. That the Alphatian Goddess of Peace, who is the person who their country is named after.
No, I mean our last session with Drazzle. Has he filled anyone in on any of this?
Not this group.
Not yet. Okay.
So the Alphatian nation is named after their goddess Alphatia, who's named after their previous homeland. And her main interest is in that of peace and prosperity. And in the last 7 years, she's changed that tune to one of warfare.
Against?
Against the Galantrians,
Okay.
which are the descendants of the fire people from her world, where most of the Alphatians are descendants of the air people. So all the aspected races got their aspects from the Alphatian homeland when they immigrated to this world.
So we should probably check in with Redrian at some point then. Because we're doing all this research for him. Does Cheval still have the staff? Are we finished fast tracking?
Fast tracking will jump in and out as we're doing
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
So so Zal has managed to get her his penance done.
Yep.
You have managed to talk to Redrian as well in that time, and found out from him about other activities going on, such as that the Alphatian armada that was going to skybomb the region has gone.
He's gone.
Was burnt to the ground.
Oh, by who?
By one of his other teams.
Okay, alright. By one of Redrian's other teams.
Because if they didn't get burnt down, they were going to wipe out all life in the region.
Oh, okay. That's Calprix and the other guys.
They helped. They gave
Yeah.
the order.
Yeah, okay.
And that various orbs that have been collected by Drazzle over the 3 groups have been used to stop different wars from happening.
Sorry, what was this about orbs?
The devastation orbs. There were 4 orbs in total.
Okay. Have this group encountered devastation orbs at all?
Yes, they encountered the water orb
Okay. Can you remind me of that?
when you were visiting the monastery, the Riverguard Keep.
Keep. That thing he was putting in
Yeah.
his portal was an orb of devastation, but we never knew.
You never got the full details of that.
Yeah, okay. And is that because we kind of kept skipping ahead and going in the wrong direction?
No, it was because it was a background story item relating to
Okay.
an active story item on the other.
Okay, alright. I just think from this group's perspective, if they've not heard of the orbs before, they might need a bit more background.
So the devastation orbs are weapons of mass destruction that affect areas 8 miles around the spot it's opened. Well, that does an 8-mile hex, and causes it elemental damage based on the orb type you've got.
Is that why Drazzle's been transporting them in his cart?
Because if
So, to protect.
once a orb is created, it has a random time from when it's created to when it explodes,
Okay.
no matter what you do.
This is why you would keep it in a portal/cart with a horse/not horse.
It was sent to the time it was needed, so there was no waiting required.
Here, weapon of mass destruction, no waiting required.
Otherwise, it could have gone off at any time.
Okay.
So that was why you had been visiting various cults to begin with, because you were collecting some of those as
We were allowing.
these characters.
We had that. We were giving that cover for Drazzle to do the.
So that was that part of that storyline that you found out. You were some of the acquirers. Your team acquired 3 of the 4 orbs.
This team.
Yes.
How come I don't remember that?
Because he would have got one from the Feathergale Knights
Oh, I
and
see.
one from the Sacred Stone one.
So he's been doing all this without really telling us. It's just been happening in the stables, and while we're finding out about the culture and that, he's been putting
Preparing for the
orbs
future.
in and out of his cart. Okay, all right. So Redrune gives us that update.
He gives you that update. He also tells you that the nation known as Sind has fallen to a conqueror known as the Master, who is breaking into Durakan to try to conquer Durakan, and that by gaining allies against that war you can safeguard the center of all the civilizations you work for, because Durakan is the glue that holds everyone together.
Is there a map?
There is a map, and I can bring a map up.
Well, we were working on it, right?
You were working out of Durakan.
But we can no longer work out of parts of Durakan, I think. Did you say had been conquered or is in the middle of being conquered?
So if I switch over to screen, you can see that there's a big lake there.
Yeah.
So on the western side of the lake, that area has been conquered, and the city there has been taken by the Master. And the Master has dropped a mile-wide tree in the center of the town that is connected to the World Tree of Myth.
Oh, wow.
And anything that crosses into the Master-controlled zone disappears from sight and sound.
Does that mean he's using it to power his magic?
Or he's using it as a conduit.
Conduit. Okay, yeah.
Sort of like you'd use a lightning rod to direct lightning away from certain things, or
And
towards certain things.
You said it's a world tree,
Yes,
which is different from a tree of life.
the tree of life is like a child of the world tree,
Okay.
but a rather specific connection to the elves.
And it's a mile long.
Mile wide.
A mile wide, sorry. That is one big tree.
And he dropped it on the city of Akasoli.
Can you spell Akasoli for me?
Akesoli.
Oh, surprisingly, how I would have spelled it.
I sort of phonetically say the letters as I see them. It's probably pronounced completely differently.
It's okay. It looks like I've said Groot. And so this is why we're becoming champions.
And so each of you find out various things during this time. Thala finds out that the elves are siphoning off the life force from all the trees of life in Elfheim
Wow.
to take the tree, what's left of the trees away. Because if the Master reaches Elfheim, he becomes a god.
Jeez.
And Elfheim will,
So that's-
and all the elves will die in his ascension.
That's huge for her, because that means her tree is being drained of life.
And they're basically taking a bud of the tree somewhere else, and her tree will be regrown away from Elfheim.
Wow.
So the elves are intentionally sacrificing the nation of Elfheim. But they don't advertise that to non-tree keepers.
So the party will notice that Thala doesn't laugh as much right now. She doesn't play her music as much either. She's just not in a very, very lightened mood.
You also find out that the champion of Ethengar, Camdu's last will and bequest of having her entire fortune destroyed instead of bequested onto someone, resulted in the deaths of many horses.
Oh.
A lot of the champion horses of the nation were killed because of Camdu's death. What was that, Em?
She had like 6 of them, didn't she?
In the end, there was about 50 of them.
Oh, wow.
Because she was a champion and people were giving her gifts to her bequest and she has pretty much devastated the people of Ethengar to the point that Druzzle was able to rip space and time and allow Wednesday's group to do 5 quests at the same time, concurrently.
Oh.
Unfortunately, some of the people in that concurrently managed to breach causality and got erased from existence. But that's the things you do when you tamper with time.
So, as Ethengarians, most of us are,
Yep.
what does that mean for the nation?
Well, for you guys, the name Camdo has become a swear word.
It spelled almost the death of your entire culture, from what I understand.
Yes, so by being the pride of the people and then basically slapping the entire culture in the face with not passing on anything, basically stating that nothing that she owned was allowed to be passed on.
Does this come down to those 3 choices, and she picked one of them?
Yeah.
And she picked the one
But
where
she was also asked who does she give her stuff to, and she was asked this multiple times.
Yeah.
And each time she said no one. No one's allowed to have any of her things.
Why didn't she say to my people?
She didn't. She specifically said no one can have her things. She didn't want anyone to touch any of her stuff after her death. And there's only one way they can guarantee it.
Horses, or champion level horses, would be Artemis in Ethengar.
Yeah, Artemis is probably one of the few remaining.
Artemis is one of the few remaining champions of the horses.
How many of this group are Ethengarians? I know I'm elf.
Of the group, 3 of them, half of them were Ethengar.
God, what a shock.
And from that point, people were in shock and sadness for over a year.
Yeah, that is.
At what point do we find this out?
You find this out while you're in the Northern Reaches, and just that the entirety of the Ethengarian people are in mourning. Not of Camdu, but of the loss Camdu caused to the people.
Why didn't someone overrule her?
Because she was the princess.
I still don't understand that. But is she still living, or did she die in glory?
She didn't die in glory, she died in battle.
She died in battle, okay.
Which is what she was given the choice of. And as such, the only people who profited from the death of Camdu was the Great Khan and his family. So she served her family over her people, and
that's right. She
her friends.
She got asked if she would choose family or people, and she chose family, and she chose to die in battle.
Yeah. So her family came out greatly because none of her family added to her bequest.
I'm wondering if she realised that.
And as such, the bequest, which would have been enough for someone to almost start their own clan, just was gone. All the stories that Camdu had been written about her, all the artwork relating to her exploits, all was burnt on the day she died. And her...
Wow, those people are literal.
And basically any of her followers or fanboys or girls were exiled if they did not give up believing in Camdu.
Why would they believe in her?
Some will believe in her.
They wouldn't understand that either.
Some would still choose to believe in her even though she had done that. So as such, Imni will be one of the exiled Ethengarians, unable to return to the lands.
Unless she chooses...
Just exile.
Really?
Because it was such a blow to the people. that because she's been going around telling stories of this hero.
I have an idea that Imi doesn't understand.
Doesn't understand, but got exiled for their beliefs.
That sounds really harsh.
They don't want the
grew
tales to
up
come back.
idolizing.
Sorry, what was that, Amy?
I was gonna say, Indy grew up idolizing her. So
Yeah.
it'd be like someone indoctrinated in any religion.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
But that's why it feels harsh, because, you know, if you've been indoctrinated since childhood and then suddenly you're exiled, it just feels... I really feel for her in the sense of understanding the magnitude of that.
they've cut off anything relating to Tamdu from their culture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's profoundly sad.
Which is how Druzzle was able to split time.
Because it was so profoundly sad.
It was a cultural sadness that completely went through the entire people and gave him the power to split time.
So what resulted then of him splitting time? They were able
One
to...
group was able to do 5 different quests at the same time.
And succeed at them?
Mostly succeed. Some people didn't come back.
Okay, yeah.
There was a price they had to pay.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was that group that had destroyed the Alphathian air fleet.
Okay, yeah.
Because technically
So that's who Palcrix and
that was
Lani
Wednesday.
and that handed the orb to. They handed it off to that group and then that group did it.
Yep.
So between all three of us, all the 3 groups, you
Between
managed
all
to
3.
defeat that fleet.
Mhm.
Okay. We helped Drazzle get it. The Tuesday group picked it up from the Friday group and handed it to the Wednesday group, and the Wednesday group set it off. Okay, there you go. And all of us without really knowing what we were doing.
Yeah, I worked hard to make the story happen. It was about 40 odd sessions.
But
of
things
planning.
have kind of fallen over for this particular group because we got derailed, and that's why we're doing the fast track tonight.
We're doing a fast track tonight. So you will find that time will have passed greatly.
Yep.
And you will be returning to Durakan for the year 1009.
What year is it for the other night, the other 2 nights?
1009.
Okay, so we're all in the same timeline now.
And your characters will be level
So,
10.
do I put this in my journal as a great fast tracking
You can.
of the Friday group?
Which means that with level 9 you'll be able to give each of yourselves a weapons mastery upgrade. So if Zal was to say learn spears,
It would be master level spear. Is that right?
technically yes. Or if you were to spend some of your downtime to get yourself up to expert in spear as well, because you could actually spend some of the downtime to get yourself skilled with spear, you could end up being grandmaster with a spear.
Oh. I mean, I probably would. I mean, if I'm going to invest time in becoming a champion, then, you know, I'd actually, like, take some pride in that. Actually, like, get there.
Just had one more question
Yep.
in regards to Indy. As the other Ethengar members of the party, if she's exiled, do they too need to exile her?
That will be up to them. And Sue when she gets back.
I was going to say, does Sue have... This should be broken very, very lightly and carefully to
It's
Sue.
already been spoken to Sue.
Okay, alright.
Not to the extent of how bad it was, just that it was very bad.
Yeah, okay.
And the ramifications of her choice. She didn't care because it wasn't her character anymore.
Okay, alright. Well, at least she knows. That's. I wasn't certain on that.
Yeah.
I will stop asking questions.
It's okay. I did broach it to her saying it was going to be bad.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in terms of Zal, he would be very conflicted.
Zal would be what, sorry?
Conflicted?
Conflicted.
Conflicted.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a party member.
Yeah,
She was relatively new, so, like, in terms of being a party member.
yeah,
But, what am I trying to say?
at the same time, she comes across as fairly naive and innocent, so,
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I don't fault her, but he probably witched on her a little bit because
Yeah.
she is so new to the party
yeah,
and
doesn't have the
and
same bond.
has had this falling out with our people.
And it also makes me ask, you know, how does Chauvel feel, having been her protector for so long? Surely there's a lot going on for Chauvel.
Chauvel will be taking a fair chunk of her downtime to
Process.
process and check life intentions, basically.
You're examining your naval fluff to figure out if you're in the right job?
Yep.
I mean, in terms of
Sorry,
being
it's
a
bothering me
bodyguard,
that it's
I really would never have proper bodyguard because she
never really allowed it.
Oh, yeah, no, she was so stubborn about it, but I still did my job.
I know. But, you know, in terms of that, probably was what, like a year, 2 years that was separated from her, and then we heard of her death and the ramifications of that.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, you've technically been out of that, like, I don't think,
That's
personality for a while.
a good point, I think.
I mean, it'll still hit you harder probably than Zal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm kind of expecting in terms of the Ethengarian members of our group. That's going to be a lot to process. Like even for Thala, who hasn't been with the group the whole time, but was with them enough to gauge that relationship and that bond. Even for her, you know, she feels a lot of empathy towards someone like Imni, who, like you said, would have been indoctrinated from youth. And then you look at Chauvel, who was given guardianship over this person as well. You know, whether or not Camdu was a willing acceptance of that guardianship, it still develops a bond, you know.
And the thing that hurts them probably even more is the loss of the horse bloodlines that were part of their family.
And I'm a druid, so that hurts me a lot. Just hearing of all that needless animal.
But it's the only way they could ensure the basically death wish of Camden.
Yeah.
So a princess of the people said this was her final wish, and they were bound by that wish.
Yeah, that's...
Doesn't mean they liked it or they wanted it to, so that was why none of her family added anything to the bequest.
Yeah,
because they didn't want it destroyed, but they were unable to tell anyone else about the wish. Because that was part of... No one knows who the bequest is to until the person dies.
Kind of glad I'm elf. I think I'd be very confused being an Ethengarian right now.
Well, they were. And each of you also receives an award of service for Darakan for all the questing you've done for them.
Oh, yay!
Nice.
With this award of service, I'd like to refer to as mistress, not servant. Mistress. That's it. I don't care if I sound like a school teacher or a dominatrix. I still want to be called mistress.
I'm sure you can. And I'm sure you can correct them every time.
I will. Damn it.
So, and what that gets to is on presentation of this award, which is a ribbon, any government official will automatically call you sir.
Or mistress.
Or
in
ma'am.
that case. No ma'ams, apparently, just sir, which I find extremely patronizing and what's that word? Paternal, the paternal word where it's all men.
Yeah.
I'm a small die-hard feminist, but I'm still a small die-hard feminist.
They don't treat men and women any differently. They treat them the same.
Patriarchal. That's it.
It can't be misogynistic when they treat you as an equal anyway.
I still want to be called mistress. I don't care.
Well, hey, I'm sure they can give out another award where when you display it, whether you're male or female, they call you mistress.
I'm aiming for that, basically.
I'll have to work one of those in there. That would just be fine.
Now the important question, Martin.
Yep.
The griffin that I would have gotten.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you call it a name?
You can come up for a name if you wish to. And what have you named your griffin?
I'm trying to think of an appropriate name.
Fluffy
Lewis.
paws. Fluffy paws.
Fluffy paws. No. I was trying to see
Crouch.
if there's any reference to griffin names in games.
Well, the griffins generally don't care what you call them as long as it's consistent.
But what about in D&D or D&D lore?
In D&D lore, the griffin naming is a personal thing. So between you and your griffin.
What about famous griffins in D&D lore? Is that something that we could look up?
You could look it up, but in the setting there aren't. The names are completely all over the place because every race can have griffins.
I'm just curious what I'll get if I search for famous griffins in Dungeons and Dragons. I just want to see.
And you've also been.
Literally for the last 10 minutes.
So with the award of service, you're also considered a commander in the Darkin army,
Nice.
which allows you to order troops about if needed.
Oh, well, you've got the Griffin Riders of Tith, Till and Drothale, so you could call your Griffin Thale.
That one's from Forgotten Realms by the Sons of it.
Oh, yes, it's from Forgotten Realms.
I was thinking of going with like names sort of like in terms of like the spear. So the spears are called Windbane.
Yep.
Windmount? Windmount? Windbird?
Windy Mount.
Windy Mount. No, I was going to think of something cooler than that.
Windshear?
Or we call them Wendy.
Wendy.
How about Death Plummet?
How about, oh fuck, it doesn't fly.
So you mean something like maybe Cloud Strider? Rainbow Surfer?
Yeah, I'll come up with
Rear wind.
No!
I almost got her. She took a sip of beer and she almost absolutely died.
Well, it could be Scat from Above.
Stabby.
Death from Above?
Well, I said Scat from Above in the terms of pooping on people as it flies by.
Yep. Or it could be known as my third child that I don't know. The forgotten one.
Or you could always call it Highlander.
Yeah, no. Either.
I'm sure there'll be no, misconceptions in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like my ice speed isn't called Pocono, so you know.
I was going to suggest Windbreaker, but
That's as bad as Jonas.
What?
Really? What have you said?
Rear wind.
Hey, it's better than Thunderbutt.
you can always call them Beneath.
You name it Booty.
No.
Okay, name it Booty Tooty then.
What about Wind Whisper? Or something along those lines.
Or, name it Ranger. And then somehow watch it fail.
I was going to say, I didn't hear failed worked in there at all, so this seems off.
You could even call it Black Feather or something like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what colour?
Cloud Strider Dark Feather.
setting.
Oh, also if you've got like an off-color one, you can name it Ugly Duckling.
Or
The
call it mallard.
Griffin could be technically any color you want. It's a magical world. They don't have to be just earthy colors.
So he's saying you can pick a colour, or you can ask him to pick a colour. He will pick you a colour, but it'll be randomised. So if you prefer a particular colour, now's the time.
It's gonna end up bloody rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you could call him Pride.
Right.
Right.
We're not commercialising a concept, not at all. It's never been done. Cough, Muddergrass, cough.
So does any of that appeal to Zald?
Not at the moment.
I thought Death from Above would have appealed to her.
I was tempted to go along the same lines with Chocobo and name him Hippogriff.
You could.
I'm sure he won't murder you in your sleep if you do.
You can just call him Griff for short.
Because hippogriffs and griffins fight for territory.
Yeah, they're not the same beast, by the way.
No, I know. Does hippogriffs exist in D&D?
They
Yes, they do.
Oh, they do? Okay.
They do. They're the ones that have the equine instead of the cat.
Yep.
So a hippogriff is cat lion. A hippogriff is lion horse.
Did you just say the same twice? Hippogriff and hippogriff?
Sorry,
Griffin?
griffin is cat lion. Hippogriff is horse.
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 Eagle.
Eagle.
Yep.
So I should have said eagle cat for the first one.
Yep.
Words definitely crossing over. Fun times with words. So yes, you've all been given the rank of commander in the Darken Army with use of your award of service, so you can assist with troops as needed, though you are then responsible for any troops you take command of. Redrian has arranged it so that you won't be commandeered into the army for wasteful purposes, as he puts it.
So we're a part of the army for diplomatic purposes, but we're still working for Redrian. We just have the rank in the Darken Army so that the Darken Army can't complain about us running around doing our own things on their territory. Is that correct?
And you've got enough rank to interfere with events to help the outcome.
Okay, because there's a war coming.
There's a war happening.
Okay, there's a war happening.
And so, with all this, you've also heard that the Empire of Alphatia has declared war on the Principalities of Galantry.
So they've officially
declared war. It's the equivalent of the United States declaring war on Hawaii.
I don't know. I was going to say, is that the official nature of Russia finally declaring it's at war because the West forced them to?
That would be someone forced them to. These guys chose to.
Okay, alright.
So it's basically David versus Goliath. And in response to this, the Theadan Empire, which is of a considerable size comparable to Alphatia, has declared war on Alphatia. Because the Alphagian War, you've been informed, is to eradicate every living person in your region. It's a war of they basically genocide of Galantry and everyone associated.
You're talking
with
about
it.
genocide, like anyone that's in Galantry, they're going to kill no matter what they are.
And everyone in the surrounding nations.
When you say surrounding nations, do you mean the world?
So it's the equivalent of I want to shoot Canberra, but I'm going to Galantry here and basically the surrounding nations here.
Yeah.
This is only a small part of the world.
Oh, okay. So that's not the whole world that we're seeing there.
So that's the equivalent of looking at Europe.
So that's why I thought you meant the world, because what I was looking at there I thought was the entirety of the world.
So that's like looking at Europe on the globe.
Sounds so bad.
All good. And that
So they
means that
declared war with-
Ethengar itself is at risk of being wiped out by this war.
Wow.
As well as Darakan.
Well, we obviously have stake in some of that.
Yep. And with the Empire of Thyatus declaring war on Alphatia in retaliation, you believe it's a form of keeping themselves alive, because if for Alphatia to reach Galantry, they must have wiped everyone else out along the way.
So you said they're endangering Ethengar and
Darakan.
Darakan.
And then the Haldanic Knights, which are the enemies of Ethengar, have
Okay.
declared war on Alphatia.
Wasn't Candu after them?
She
Haldanic
was.
Knights. Who did they declare war with?
On Alphatia. Which means, in a sense, they're protecting Ethengar.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they would hate to their inner core.
Well,
So
I mean,
it-
in terms of Zal's side of this, he has taken both Galantry and Ethengar, and has been trying to think for years of how he can, I don't know, patch some of these.
Bridge the two together. There is an Ethengarian community within Galantry, but
I know.
they were the exiled wizards, which you are related to.
I know, and I've been trying to bridge that even further somehow for years.
well, now you have Griffins. I think you can probably do it.
And
If
I
you
know
don't
what it
die
is.
in the genocidal level war that Alphatia is bringing down on us.
And so with all that, Redrian has asked the three of you, are you willing to learn some information that you need to keep away from even your own gods, lest things turn against you?
Can I have a little bit more information about that?
As in not tell them directly.
So when I make my prayers to my god, I just don't mention this information?
He recommends not mentioning it.
Okay. And when you
But it will give you an insight into what the war's about.
okay, so this information will give me the context of the war I'm about to take part of.
Yes.
But I can't tell anyone but the people in this room right now.
The people who agree to find out the truth.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I mean. Yes, I agree.
How about Zal and Chauvel? Do they want to find out the truth to the reasons for the war, or do they wish to remain clueless?
No, definitely want to find out.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so after he takes you into a room and puts up some wards, he says what he's about to tell you will get you killed if the gods find out you know this. The gods themselves do not wish this knowledge to be spread around.
Question.
Yes.
Has Drazzle spoken to us about whether or not we enter certain countries by certain dates yet?
You will after this.
After this, okay. Alright. And I'm just checking.
Ariadne's had some pre-warning for her Tuesday night character.
Only because I happen to be in the Tuesday night group and the Friday night group.
Okay, so what he tells you is that the war is about whether or not certain gods are allowed to exist. And
So the wars between the gods,
the wars between the gods.
not the countries.
The countries are the pawns.
Yes. Okay. Alright.
So on one camp they have issued a declaration that they will wipe out everyone who believes or has knowledge of Galantry. And on,
Jesus, that's even Alphatia itself.
there are parts of Alphatia that will get wiped out from this.
Kind of wipe out.
It will,
Their own
it
people.
will wipe out about a third of life on the planet.
Wow.
And if they don't succeed, the risk is that magic will die and all magical races will die. So it's a choice of annihilation of a third of the world or the loss of magic.
When you say gods, is it more than one god or just Alphatian god?
It is more than one god. and the person who instigated this whole War of the Gods is the god Ixion, or as you know him, Tubak, the Lawbringer.
I dart a look, almost of accusation, at Cheval. Did you know about this?
Alright.
Is it Tubak her god?
Tubak is her god.
So
Did you know about this?
Sorry, I missed that. But
So Ixion, also known as Tubak the Lawbringer, is the instigator of the warfare.
wow.
He, standing with the god of elves, Ilsundal, the god of Alphatia, and Ixion's partner, the goddess of passion, Valerius.
So I was like, my god?
Yes.
Elf god?
Yes. Have stood together to eradicate Galantry from this world. Which is partly why the elves are moving their trees.
I am very much okay with not telling my god this information.
And they have picked on the god known as Rad and Raphael because those gods were not sponsored. Of all the gods of the pantheon, they're the only two gods known to not have a sponsor.
So which two gods were they?
Raphael and Rad.
Rad. Because he's cool, right?
And because they have no sponsor, they have chosen not to follow the restrictions that the ruling gods have put on every other god as part of their sponsorship.
And so does that mean the reason why, like, Galantry and that are being attacked would say predominantly follow these gods?
Rad is only followed in Galantry.
Right.
And by the people of Galantry, so that's the reason for its specific destruction.
Sorry, Elf Headspace here. My god, Elf God, wants to kill all of the trees of life.
He's moving the trees of life so that the region can be annihilated.
Okay. I've got a lot of questions, but I'm gonna... Alright.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just...
It is a lot to...
just processing this.
And they have chosen that the nation of Alphatia be the deliverer of the blow because it's untouched by the beliefs of Galantry.
So you said there were several gods here. So there's
Yes.
Ixion,
Ilsundal,
Isundal, yep,
Alphatia,
and Alphatia.
and the partner of Ixion, the goddess of passion, Valerius.
Oh, okay.
So
Fair amount of them.
3 hierarchs, which are the leading gods, and the weakest of them is Alphatia.
Okay.
So they
That's
believe,
why Alphatia has been chosen to make the first.
That's why she's part of their group because they have chosen her people to lead the crusade, which is what it really is, a crusade of the gods of good versus the gods of good. And they are crusading to keep magic alive in the world. That's what their crusade's about, even though they're going to wipe out lots of people to do so. It's not a great belief. Redrian is quite appalled by all this.
Yeah, so am I, and one of these is my god, and I offer absolute apologies for my initial reaction to finding out about Tubak, because my god's responsible too, so, you know, I'm also in the WTF mode at the moment.
The creator of the Tree of Life is one of these people.
Yeah, and that is super fracked up.
Yep, and so the people that are opposing them, who have all been listed to be eradicated by these 4 gods, are Rad, Vanya, who is god of time and the patron of the Hellenic Knights.
Suddenly, Drazzle's using temporal things is making sense to some degree.
Ka, the Tyrannosaurus god,
Oh, we got a T-Rex on our side! Yay!
And he's the god of earth and matter.
Cool god, anyway.
Raphael, another god of fire and energy, also patron of the Shadowlands, which is the lands underneath.
Yep.
Arendelle, elven god of energy and trickery. Asterius, the god of thought and also one of the patrons of the Alphatian Empire. Also god of thieves. And the moon.
Does that mean he's going to try and steal the moon at some point?
It is his symbol, so Rathanos, god of fire, living fire. And Korotiku, the spider god of thought.
Okay.
So you have on their side two major hierarchs and a bunch of lesser gods. Basically, if Ka and Korotiku did not step up to protect Rad would have been destroyed in the year 1000.
Oh, okay. Oh, good thing they're around.
And he believes that there is another group that he has identified as the Brotherhood of Shadow, who the Master is working for, and has taken this as the best opportunity for him to achieve immortality through warfare.
Sorry, is the Master of Shadow the guy with the tree?
The Master is the guy of the trees, yes.
Right.
The Brotherhood of Shadow is the group of unknown gods working together to support the Master.
Okay. And he's trying to be a god?
He's questing to be a god.
Right. Sorry, I'm trying to get it all
good.
written down.
So does this help make some of the storylines you've had up until now make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
And you can understand why, if the rest of the story is moving into the Great War that's about to happen, you don't really want to be the one still sitting in the background going, it's all nice and rosy right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
We were fairly far behind the other two groups.
Ended up at 2 years more.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. But I think that was just, schedules and just getting distracted in game and things like that.
And each of you also, as part of your awards from Redran, are given a domain in Darken itself to build your own place in.
Can mine be next door to Calcrix's?
It can be, or it can be next to the Elven Forest, which is not too far from where Calcrix is either.
Okay. Can't be away from the forest. Need the tree. So we're given a domain.
You're given a 8-mile domain.
8 miles.
Because hey, each of the hexes of the main maps are 8
Suddenly
miles.
I hear the opening notes to that song. You should never let it go. So we're given an 8-mile. It is a little token region, isn't it?
It is, but it's one hex of the map.
I was going to say, is this because each hex is 8 miles long?
Yep.
Is that how it's written in the campaign, or you just went, a region, a hex?
That works for me.
Okay.
And after you finish that conversation, Drazzle lets you know that with the knowledge you now have, once you step over into Galantry, you have 1 hour before one of those 3 groups will eliminate you from the competition.
So as long as we don't enter Galantry, we'll be okay. But if we choose to enter Galantry, whatever we want to do in Galantry, we have to be able to accomplish in 1 hour.
You have 1 hour from when you step over the boundaries
Right.
to when they hunt you down and destroy you.
Yeah.
So no matter whether you leave or not, you've got 1 hour.
Yeah.
So no matter whether you achieve your objective or not, you still only got 1 hour.
I'm probably going to get a very vague answer to this. Does this mean we will inevitably have to go to Glantry and we'll be under a 1 hour timeline to do something in Glantry?
If you find, so what Redrin is having people do is scour for information outside of Galantry as to where the device from his starship is located.
I see.
And so all the notes that he's gathered from Galantry, no one knows.
Okay.
So he's looking further afield. And because of that, he's also discovered that anyone who knows about it gets eliminated.
Right.
If they cross into Galantry.
So all of this is about trying to get back this piece of ship because this ship part could turn the tide of the war?
He believes the ship part is the fusion reactor of his starship.
I see.
And someone has tampered with it to make it drain magic from the world.
Oh, I see.
And it's also a source of great power.
Right.
And as a source of great power, it can always be used for means it's not intended.
So
He wants to find out where it is and travel with whichever group's available
Yep.
to shut it down.
right. So far in all of his explorations, he's seen no sign of it anywhere else. But if anyone goes into Galantry looking for it, they disappear.
He knows it's in Galantry. He knows it's somewhere near the capital, but he doesn't know where.
Where?
And
Okay.
if anyone goes in there and can't go straight there, they're not going to make it.
Right. So if we decide to take a mission into Glantry, we're doing it under the advisement that we will die.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Unless, of course, you manage to reach the device and
Within
turn the
that
tide
hour.
of the war.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah?
With that, can I lean on my uncle who's in the military? And I know we have a way to get in and out of that tower.
You do?
That's, I think, in electricity.
It is in Galantry City. The problem is, it's the gods that have put up the ward looking for people with the knowledge.
So even though you can get in and out of there in under an hour,
You basically come to the attention of the gods by entering, and then they seek you down
No
no matter where
you
you've
are.
gone afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah,
So unless when you go there you find it,
yeah.
One,
So, but in terms of that, can I lean on my uncle's network to try and help narrow down where this thing is?
you can, but the moment you start, the moment they start asking questions, you'll believe is when your uncle's network and eventually your uncle will be eliminated.
theoretical question for Drazzle probably. If we were to, say, enact some kind of plan where we used Zal's tower to get in and out of Glantry to find information, could technically Drazzle could just keep turning back time until we're not dead, so we just keep running it until we find the information that we want and figure out where the machine is, and we'll just die like 50,000 times, but after those 50,000 times we'll figure out where the device is and be able to tell them?
He's unable to interfere with the gods of time.
Okay, alright. Well,
Because Vanya is one of the gods involved, and I did mention God of Time.
yeah, but you also mentioned wasn't she on our side?
It hasn't directly affected what's going on in Galantry. That if we do it directly
Really? Yeah.
in Galantry,
Yeah.
You have to be able to affect things in such a way that the gods don't take offense at what you've done. Because the gods don't forget the timeline, no matter how many timelines have changed.
Yeah, well that's why I said it was a theoretical question,
So-
and why I was fairly sure the answer was no.
Drazzle basically says if it rewinds time and brings you back, the gods still keep coming after you because they know you exist.
Yeah.
Up until now, you don't exist as far as they're concerned. You're just a minion or a pawn until you have that information, then suddenly you're an important piece that needs to be taken.
It was a question that was bound to come up at some point, because we know that he's fidgeted with time, so now we know that's not on the board.
So unfortunately for me, because I've got family involved, I've then lost more family.
Yeah.
You have lost
Alright.
more family because of it. Though they can come to you, you don't go to them. You can potentially
True.
send people to
Message.
bring messages to them, but Drazzle does not recommend you ask anything about the Radiance or devices in Galantry.
But you could totally send a message to them saying, I need your help, and
Yeah.
not say why, and
So
get them to come to you.
I could leverage the and not lose them as long as I don't tell them what's going or what we're after.
Yeah.
And one thing Redrian has figured out is that the headmaster of the School of Magic is the mortal persona of the god Rad.
Oh, maybe. He was cool.
Is that the very same School of Magic that threw me my birthday party?
It is the very same person who threw you the birthday party.
Well, Calfrix, I should say.
Threw Calcrich the birthday party. Which he hasn't told the other groups, but he thought it was worthwhile you guys knowing that distinction.
Yep.
But-
So, just behind you. Do you need a drink?
We will need a drink.
So, Rad's on our side, right?
Technically you're not on Rad's side, you're not on Ixion's side, you're in between.
We're trying to stop them from
So,
killing each other, basically.
And he believes that a third faction is trying to escalate. So you've got one side trying to remove Galantry from play, another one trying to keep Galantry in play long enough for them to wear out their attackers, and a third one who just wants the carnage to spread out. Which is why the Master has chosen this time to evade Durakan.
Right.
Because any nation that goes to help Durakan will not be able to help Galantry.
Sorry, can you say that last bit again?
Any nation that goes to help Durakan will most likely not be able to help Galantry.
Aren't they all being called to Durakan right now?
Yes. Because each of them has their own troubles, and if Durakan falls, they will also fall.
Where's that going to leave Galantry then?
In a lot of trouble if the war escalates.
So, does that mean someone should be paying attention to Galantry?
Well, the Ethengarians are looking for a weakness. And there is still a war between vampires happening in the north of Galantry.
Still?
Yeah, way back when. You know, when we got those seeds that we can't remember how we got them, and now nobody knows where they've gone.
No one's wanted to interfere with bunches of blood-sucking undead.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And the Ethengarians have decided it's time to stop sending expeditions right into this battlefield. So they didn't want to add more fodder to the undead armies.
In a way, isn't that the perfect way to build up your undead army?
It is, that's why the Ethengarians haven't been attacking, because they did make up a majority of the undead forces to begin with. Which is why they hate undead so much, because it was on their border.
So, as a result of this colonization, what does Redrian, whom we're still employed by, I
Yep.
presume? What are we? Where does he see us fitting into this?
Well, he sees you fitting in as able to help sway various causes to support the nations that need it the most.
So, does that mean there's a job he wants us to do, or jobs?
There will be, though I will wait for the others to be here to help decide for what you may go off and do next.
Okay, yeah.
And that way I'm not trying to remember.
Also,
read
there's
all
like
the
a quest.
multiple quests
Okay, alright.
of things going wrong and happening.
Okay. And we'll go off on quests from this point then?
Some quests and some wars.
Okay, alright.
So you will be leading people into battle.
Yeah. I just, after all of that news, I wasn't sure. It seems like there's a lot of catastrophe going on.
There is a lot of catastrophe going on. Just that most of the time it's been 20 to 30 odd sessions for this group between updates of catastrophes.
Okay.
So they weren't actually seeing the big picture.
Yeah, we couldn't see the war because of
The skirmishes in between.
yeah. But in a way, we don't realise how integral we've been to fighting the wars that the other ones have been fighting, because we've been providing the cover for Drazzle to gather these orbs.
And what he does say is that if the Master does advance, he is draining the elements out of the regions he comes to. So any people on his side of control will not have any aspect of elements.
And we've actually made connections with not just all of these sects?
Organizations.
S-E-C-T sects. Because some of them are more religious than others. Like, I'm guessing the Griffin Riders aren't really religious, but the monks of the Sacred Stone definitely
The
are.
Griffin Knights are more like paladins.
Yeah. So, because we've got those connections, we might be able to pull together people that Redrian and Darrakan couldn't normally gain support from. Is that right?
But you have the equivalent of shock troops at your disposal,
Yeah.
where most of them are just standard army.
And no one else has got that.
No one else really has.
Yeah.
that
So
sort
we
of
have
thing.
been playing an important role. We've just been not able to see where that role fits until the last few sessions.
And by setting up garrisons of these people in Darrakan, you put them in the centre of everything going on.
I still want to know what happens to Chauvel's dad. And mum. But dad.
Most likely he survived.
But that was just a very interesting... I get that was an alleyway we shouldn't run down because we'd probably get mugged halfway down and we wouldn't find out anyway. But, you know, as Tasha, I'm like, that would have been an interesting place to look.
It was. You would have definitely had a what happens next. But, yep.
Given that we've just gained
Thr-
levels,
3 levels, yes.
so you were talking if I get to what did you say it was?
At level 9, you gain a extra weapon proficiency, which can be up to expert level. So if you spend downtime gaining skill, you can upgrade that skill to expert. Because it takes longer to train expert than it does to train skill.
Yeah. But in terms of that, so if I put that into spear,
Yep.
that would take it to
Grandmaster when you're attuned.
yeah. What am I in that? I guess how long are we doing things for? Like 3 years in game. Would I have enough downtime to not only do trainings? Oh no, but the ability score is through the level.
Ability score happens generally at levels 4 and 8 for non-fighters. And if you're a fighter, it will happen every 2 levels.
Sorry, not
Sorry, if you're a fighter, it happens every 2 levels.
proficiency one.
Proficiencies are every 3 levels.
Yeah. But you can gain those through downtime as well.
You can, yes.
Would I have enough time? So if I take the speed one as a level 1, and then when I'm attuned to the spear, why are you changing it?
Josh is very tired.
Or maybe I can take this conversation offline.
We can take that offline. So how about we'll finish it up here, we'll take the conversation offline, and Josh can go to sleep if he needs to.
Technically, Josh can go to sleep either way, but I understand what you mean.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it to offline and we can talk afterwards.
Mm-hmm.